The opulent British passenger ship Titanic, which sank on April 15, 1912, causing one of the worst maritime disasters in history, is the subject of this case study. This case study offers important insights into the lessons learned from the Titanic's terrible death through a review of numerous causes leading up to the sinking, including design errors, insufficient safety measures, human mistakes, and external events. On April 10, 1912, the British passenger ship Titanic set sail for the first time. It was designed to be a masterpiece of engineering and elegance, attracting the attention of the globe with its opulence and cutting-edge features. Thomas Andrews, a naval architect, oversaw the ship's construction at the Harland Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The Titanic was intended to represent technological advancement and the height of luxury travel with its lavish interiors, cutting-edge amenities, and ability to carry over 2,400 passengers and crew members. The Titanic was supposed to make its maiden journey from Southampton, England, to New York City, USA. But on April 14, 1912, only 4 days into the voyage, tragedy struck when the Titanic struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean. The ship's hull sustained irreparable damage as a result of the accident, and it eventually sank in the early hours of April 2015. With the loss of more than 1,500 lives, the Titanic disaster became one of the most infamous maritime tragedies in history. The widespread conviction that the ship couldn't sink encouraged a sense of invincibility among both passengers and crew, which is why the incident stunned the entire globe. This case study intends to provide insight into the sequence of activities that occurred before, during, and following the accident. It looks to examine how the unsinkable ship tragically sank as a result of poor design, insufficient safety precautions, human error, and outside factors. Background of the Titanic. The White Star Line, a British maritime business, had 3 sister ships built, the Titanic being one of them. The Olympic and the Britannic were the other 2 sister ships. After the Olympic's debut, the Titanic was the second of the 3 ships to be built. On March 31, 1909, the Harland Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Northern Ireland, started work on the Titanic. The ship was constructed utilizing a combination of experienced workers and cutting-edge engineering methods of the day. The construction procedure took over 3 years to complete and required thousands of employees. The Titanic was an engineering and opulent masterpiece. Its length was around 269 meters, and its total tonnage was roughly 46,328 tons. There were 9 decks on the ship, with first-class passengers only allowed on the top deck. It could accommodate about 2,435 people in addition to the crew. The ship's interior was lavish and sumptuous, created to appeal to the wealthy guests of the day. It had opulent features such as a swimming pool, gym, Turkish bath, squash court, and numerous dining options. The ship was also equipped with an advanced wireless telegraph system that enabled communication with shore stations and other ships. The Titanic was meant to stand for comfort, security, and development. It was advertised as the most cutting-edge and secure spacecraft of its era, with claims that it was almost indestructible. These assertions were supported by the ship's sophisticated design elements and watertight compartments, which were intended to keep the ship afloat even if many compartments were flooded. Certainly, let's examine the causes of the Titanic accident in more detail. Design errors. The Titanic's watertight compartments had a serious weakness in their design. There were 16 watertight compartments on the ship. However, the tops of those compartments were not entirely sealed. In the event of flooding, water may overflow from one compartment to another, causing flooding to spread out. The ship's ability to maintain buoyancy and endure the damage brought on by the impact with the iceberg was severely hindered by this deficiency. Insufficient safety precautions. Even though it exceeded the safety requirements of the time, the Titanic had inadequate lifeboats and evacuation protocols. Only 20 lifeboats and 4 collapsible boats were available on board, which was less than half of the ship's capacity of more than 2,200 passengers and staff. Because it was widely believed that the ship couldn't sink, more lifeboats weren't needed, which contributed to the scarcity of lifeboats. Additionally, there was insufficient lifeboat training and no thorough evacuation strategy. The crew and passengers were not sufficiently trained or ready for a quick and orderly evacuation in the event of an emergency. The death toll was made worse by unclear instructions and the disarray that arose during the evacuation. Error by humans. The catastrophe was significantly influenced by human mistake. The crew of the Titanic ignored many wireless telegraphy iceberg warnings from other ships despite receiving them. The officers of the ship ignored the seriousness of the warnings and continued to sail across the ice-covered waters of the North Atlantic at nearly maximum speed, buoyed by their belief in the size and strength of the ship. Additionally, on the fateful night of the disaster, the Titanic's lookouts, who were in charge of spotting dangers like icebergs, did not have access to binoculars. They might have had trouble spotting the iceberg in time to take evasive action because they lacked the necessary equipment. External conditions. The Titanic's demise was predetermined by external circumstances, specifically the collision with the iceberg. On April 14, 1912, at 11:40 p.m., the ship ran aground on an iceberg on its starboard side. The iceberg severely damaged the ship by puncturing numerous compartments. The ferocity of the accident and the ensuing flooding overcame the ship's cutting-edge safety systems, such as watertight compartments and double-bottomed structures. The disaster was also affected by the collision's timing. On a moonless night, the Titanic was passing through a region famed for its icebergs, making it more challenging to see the dangers in the ship's route. These outside elements, along with the ship's deficiencies in response and design, played a devastating role in the Titanic's catastrophic demise. It is crucial to remember that a combination of these elements contributed to the Titanic disaster, which led to a substantial number of fatalities and revisions in marine safety procedures. Lessons learned from the Titanic. Increased lifeboat capacity. The Titanic disaster taught us the value of having enough lifeboats to fit all passengers and crew members, which is one of the most important lessons. As a result of the catastrophe, marine safety laws were updated and ships were mandated to have enough lifeboats to accommodate everyone on board. The iceberg accident highlighted the necessity for a methodical approach to iceberg detection and avoidance, according to the International Ice Patrol. The case study has clarified the various elements that went into the accident, such as poor design, insufficient safety precautions, human error, and outside events. The lessons from the Titanic's sinking have influenced maritime safety procedures and serve as a constant reminder of the value of all-encompassing safety precautions and awareness in the face of potential dangers. Thank you for taking the time to read this case study on the Titanic. If you found this content valuable and would like to receive more informative articles and updates, we encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter. We look forward to sharing more fascinating content with you in the future.